Hello, everyone. Welcome back to our discussion of the digestive system. Remember, we are making our way through the digestive tract. So we just finished talking about the stomach. Now we are ready to talk about the small intestine. Okay, so the small intestine consists of three main sections in order going from the stomach. We have the duodenum, then the jejunum, then the ileum. The duodenum is pretty short, so it's just 25 centimeters. And then the rest of the small intestine is the jejunum and ileum. So that makes up about 260 centimeters. The small intestine is really where I think most of the action in the digestive system happens. It's the site of most of our digestion and absorption. So digestion, the breakdown of molecules, and absorption, bringing those materials into our body from the digestive tract. Okay. Um, the entry of our digested food or our food being digested into the duodenum is very tightly controlled. Okay. I want to introduce this term chyme. So, chyme is basically a word that means like the sludge that we have after the food has been processed by the stomach. So, it's kind of like partially digested food mixed with gastric acid and so on. Okay. The entry of the chyme into the duodenum is very heavily regulated. I want to remind you that chyme enters the duodenum with every peristaltic wave of the stomach. Okay. And it's very important to control this entry because I want to remind you of another thing, which is that the processes of absorption and digestion are not regulated. Okay, so they're only going to occur at a certain baseline rate. And what we want to do is we want to make sure that we are not overwhelming that process. We want to make sure that the amount of chyme that's entering the duodenum is slow enough that our digestive processes of digestion and absorption can handle all of that. That's how we're going to extract the most nutrition that we can from the food that we eat. Okay. All right. So here is a bit of a closer look at the regulation of chyme entry into the duodenum. I know this is a very busy figure, but really the take-home messages are right here on the right side. To walk you through it, basically what I want to do is I want to draw your attention here. So this is where we have our chyme entering the small intestine. What it's going to do is basically the presence of the components of that chyme are going to activate the secretion of a variety of hormones, as well as activating the enteric nervous system. Okay. And then we have a few main things resulting from that. First of all, we have these actions happening from the pancreas. So we have enzymes being secreted by the pancreas, we have bicarbonate being secreted by the pancreas. And as you will see later in this set of videos, those are important for the processes that are going to be happening in the small intestine. So basically what we're doing is just kind of getting the small intestine ready to do its job. Okay, so that's one main thing that happens, and that is number one here on the right side. Okay, another main thing that happens is that these hormones and the enteric nervous system are going to go and provide negative feedback on digestion and motility in the stomach. Okay, so basically what those are doing is they're saying, hey, there's stuff happening in the small intestine. Let's slow down what's going on in the stomach so that we can make sure that we can handle what is happening in the small intestine, so that our entry, the entry of the chyme, is slow enough that we can handle everything that's coming in. Okay, so that's number two here. Okay, and then the last thing that happens is we are going to stimulate insulin secretion. I'm not going to address insulin in these in this digestion part of the course, but we will get to insulin in a little bit, like a week or two when we talk about metabolism. But anyway, insulin is going to help the cells in the rest of our body take up the glucose that we are absorbing from our digestive processes. Okay, quick question for you. Are these short or long reflexes? So take a moment to think about that. Okay, so hopefully you figured out these are short reflexes, right? So we're really just talking about the enteric nervous system part of it. The hormones aren't really considered short reflexes, but the enteric nervous system part of it is a short reflex because the entire signal gets processed within the digestive tract. It doesn't get processed by the central nervous system. Okay. All right. We have a specialized anatomy in the small intestine that is going to reflect these processes of digestion and absorption that are happening in the small intestine. Okay, so let me show you some of the features of the specialized anatomy that we have in the small intestine. First of all, in our mucosa, so this is a cross section through the small intestine wall. In our mucosa, we have these finger-like projections called villi. Okay, and what those do is they increase the surface area for absorption. In addition, if we look at the surface of a single villus, okay, so that's what's shown here, you can see that we have epithelial cells that are on that surface. Each individual epithelial cell has little finger-like projections too, called microvilli. Okay, so those further increase our surface area for absorption. The microvilli sort of collectively are referred to as the brush border of the intestinal wall. Okay, so we have that. In addition, we have these invaginations called crypts from which we secrete fluids and hormones that are going to help with the digestive process.